members of this lovely family, Life and Living with Samson Olatunji. How are you doing today? It's my pleasure to meet you again. We want to start our discussion today by talking about one upload on social media that I came across a little while ago. It was an obituary uploaded by a lady, the obituary of her father. The reactions to that obituary will form the arrow point of our discussion now. Unfortunately, many people that reacted to that obituary did so with curses and abuses on the man. And one of the reactions stood out. That's when commented that most of the people raining curses on the deceased had never seen him, had never met him, that it wasn't good to just abuse people like that. What would make that more outstanding is that in our community, it is anathema to speak evil of a dead person. Now, why were people raining curses on this man that they never knew when he was alive? The answer was not far-fetched, and it's still not far-fetched. The man was in police uniform. Oh, is it a crime to be in police uniform? Yes, in my country, it is a crime to be a policeman because many people have experienced very terrible maltreatment from policemen in my country. In fact, many people see policemen as government licensed, government uniformed armed robbers. An experience of one young man will suffice to tell us how this happens, one of the ways this happens. He lost his work ID card and had to process a replacement. He went to the state high court to get a sworn affidavit. He was able to do that easily. But when it came to the level of obtaining a police report, he had an experience. The policeman in charge told him there was no electricity in the station at that time, and so you had two options. The first was to wait until electricity was restored. The second was to pay some huge amount of money with which a generator will be rented and fueled. This man knew from experience that no generator will be rented, no fuel will be bought. But he also knew that if he opted for the first, that is to wait, he was going to wait for Godot, he was going to wait forever. So he paid that money and he was asked to wait outside. About 30 minutes later, the policeman called him in and gave him the police report, and it was obvious nothing was rented. Another case was that of a man who was riding a motorbike and 3 policemen accosted him. It was not a kind of insinuation. He was very sure because that was the practice, and it is even still the practice there. He knew that those policemen were going to arrest him for no offense. They were going to impound his motorbike, and he was going to pay heavily because if he was in police custody, his people were going to pay. So he just abandoned the motorbike and ran away. When he ran away, later he went to consult a policeman in his neighborhood, and this policeman in his neighborhood, I know him very well. He's an upright man. He's a God-fearing man. That's when he went to the station, pleaded with his colleagues to please release the man's motorbike to him. Well, then he had to step aside. He left. And this man himself, who was talking, that I heard him talking, narrating his audio, eventually had to pay to get his motorbike. But he himself said he knew he would have paid much more heavily if not for the intervention of this man. But what stunned me was that as he was talking, he was still expressing his doubts about the integrity of this policeman. He was even saying, and they said he's a godly man, but I don't think there can be a godly policeman. Also about policemen, let's go back to the case of, this happened to somebody I know very well. He was going home from work around 9 p.m. Some policemen just stopped him and said he should stand aside. They were extorting money from motorists, but two of them stood with the man and they were armed. So the man couldn't leave. That was how they passed some other people to go and join the man. The people were saying, we want to get home early. They said, no, just stay there. Detained about 10 people until past 12, past midnight. When it was past midnight, when they were going back to their police station, they now accused the people, why are you working past midnight here? What are you doing in the dead of the night? We suspect you are armed robbers. That was how they were carried to the police station. And they had to bail themselves with huge sums of money. They were the ones that detained these people right from when it was not night, but they lied against them that they must be armed robbers because they were arrested past midnight. What most policemen bring to the table at every point of an interaction it poisons people's minds against the police force. But this man who lost his ID card had to process a replacement of an ID card 2 years later. And he had to go to the same police station. When he got there, a woman was on duty at that time. The woman had a religious text that she was reading. When this man got there, the first thing that came to his mind was, policemen. They will be playing so much of religiosity, but when it comes to doing the right thing, they will never do the right thing. They are never God-fearing. So after telling the police officer what he needed, the woman just put aside the religious text and straight away began to process the police report after reading the sworn affidavit and handed the report to the man. The man was astonished. He was transfixed. Then he asked if he would have to pay. The woman said, no, you're not paying, it's free. He was astonished. And he said, how I wish all police officers were like this. But there are so few of them that many people can't believe such people exist. This is not only about police officers. It cuts across different fields, all walks of life. A professor that I know very well is a godly man, an upright man. In fact, this professor hates cheating. If he hears that you are cheated somewhere, he will go there and fight, no matter how highly placed the offender is. He was going home from work one evening when he saw some policemen who were preoccupied with extorting money from motorists, thereby leaving their duty of regulating traffic. The professor just called out to them and challenged them. He rebuked them. One of the police officers looked at the man's car and realized that he is a professor because there were stickers indicating that. And the policeman retorted, why are you blaming us? Don't you know what you do in your university? Don't you extort money from your students? Don't you sleep with the female ones? The professor shook his head and said, you are stupid. You are overgeneralizing. Is it everybody that does that? Just go and do your work. Now, we would realize that in the police force, we have seen examples of the good and the bad. This professor I'm talking about is a very good man. But the blame of what many of his colleagues have been doing was placed on him by that angry policeman. This makes me to see this world as a very large table. And every one of us comes to the table with some things. Now, some people come with poison, while others come with medicine like honey and all that. And what you bring to the table will dictate how people will perceive your tribe. By tribe, I mean group, which may be a professional tribe, a social tribe, a religious tribe. It could be an ethnic tribe. So you are representing a tribe at the table. Anytime you have to interact with people, what do you bring to the table? Are you bringing what will make people to perceive your tribe as evil, or what will make them conclude that you are good? The legendary Yoruba author, late Daniel Olufemi Fagunwaru, created a character named Itanforiti. While Itanforiti was sermonizing his guest, he drew an analogy. He said somebody who does evil or who repays good with evil is like somebody who was very thirsty, was almost dying, but was fortunate to get to the source of the river. He sat down, drank enough water, took more for future use, for future consumption, and afterwards poured a large quantity of poison into that source of water. Now, that river will be flowing very far away, even to places where that man will never reach in life. But people that that man will never ever meet will be drinking the water and they will be dying because he has poisoned the source of the water. Do you poison sources of water with your character? Do you misrepresent people of your tribe through the evil things that you bring to the table at every point of interaction? Or have you resolved that if anybody is going to decide to change from good to bad, it won't be because of your character? That if somebody who has always been helpful to people would decide not to help anybody again, it won't be because of me. What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? That's the question you must ask yourself anytime you have to interact with people. Being conscious of the fact that you are representing a tribe. You are representing the police force. You are representing your professional tribe. You are representing your ethnic tribe. What are you bringing to the table? Are you bringing honey? Are you bringing sugar? Are you bringing food that is nutritious? Or are you bringing poison to poison the minds of people against your profession? Think about it and let it regulate how you will act, what you will do when you have to deal with fellow human beings. Till we have something again to discuss in this family house, I say thank you very much once again. If you are yet to subscribe to the channel, please click the subscription button. If you have missed some of our videos, why not click on the notification bell so that each time there is a video, you will be notified promptly.